Welcome back for another episode of A Woman's Strength, empowering stories from struggles to triumph. My podcast is to provide women a platform to share their stories and in the end, tell us how they were victorious. Ladies, sharing our stories is twofold. It reminds us how far we have come and gives the women listening strength and hope to carry on. My name is Rosita Perez. I am your host, self-discovery coach, and realtor. I get to help people find their way home, whether home is a physical home or if home is discovering the core of who you are. Today, my guest is Jennifer Natasia. So let me get her on stage. Hey, Jennifer. Now I know her as Sia. So is it okay if I direct questions to you with Sia versus Jennifer?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
So Jennifer Natasia, which is where Sia came from.
Well, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. And I just want to thank you in advance for being vulnerable to share your story. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Sia.
I always say I'm a multidimensional being. I'm an educator. I'm a mom, a single mom of 3 kids, and I started a business called Sacred Her, as well as a financial professional.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And kudos to you for being a single mom to 3 kids. I think that's the biggest job that you have and the most rewarding. So let's go ahead and dive into it, Sia. Can you share with me a time when you faced a struggle in your life? Just share a little bit about the circumstances and what the struggle was.
I was thinking over my life, like what was my most significant struggle. And I was thinking, oh yeah, my divorce and being a single mom to 3 young babies under the age of 5, that was going to be my struggle. But really, I think the most significant struggle was loving the person who was looking at me in the mirror.
Wow. I love
Hmm.
that because that's where it all starts from, is
Right.
within. Wow. So
Absolutely.
tell me a little bit about some internal battles that you struggled with in that journey of loving you.
It was a lifelong struggle, in all honesty. So I come from a multiracial background, and trying to find out where I fit in has always been a struggle. I wasn't Black enough, I wasn't Asian enough, and my parents both told me at a very young age, because you're a Black woman, you're going to be a Black woman, you got to work twice as hard. And from that, I felt growing up was a challenge, of dealing with persecution, judgment, just by being. I didn't even open my mouth. I was pulled over a couple times because I was driving while Black. And that happened to me twice as a young adult. So there's a lot of struggles of trying to find myself, find out where I fit in, and feeling like I wasn't accepted anywhere, and feeling like, I didn't look like the other women who were looked at as beautiful. And I remember being called a Black monkey and going home crying. And so these were my biggest battle. If nobody accepts me for me, how can I? I didn't even think about myself accepting me for me. And that caused me looking for love in all the wrong places, which was outside of me.
Wow. Let me just take a breath into that. Thank you for sharing
Mhm.
this in terms of being biracial and where do you fit
Right.
in? And you don't fit into the Asian world, you don't fit into the Black world. So you lose sense of self. And then the limiting beliefs that came up in terms of, well, I can't fit in anywhere. So, I mean, how do I even like myself? And I'm not
Right.
trying to put words in your mouth, but that is a struggle that I'm hearing.
Absolutely. It was a huge struggle for me growing up. I did not find myself beautiful. I had people tell me I was, but I didn't believe them. I'm like, oh, you're just saying that because you want something from me. Or you're just saying that because you don't want me to feel bad.
What age do you think you were when you started having these thought processes and beliefs?
Oh, I remember it was back when I was like 4 or 5, between 4 and 6.
Okay.
And not looking like my cousins and seeing my cousins who from the Asian side were always like praised. There were family members who didn't look highly of me, didn't think that I would get far in life. I was not even a consideration. I felt that going to family parties, how I just didn't belong on the Asian side. On the Black side, it was like, "You're not Black," because I wasn't ghetto. And I'm like, "This is how I talk."
Sia, I just want to tell
Mhm.
you that I am so sorry that you had to go through that, especially at 4 and moving forward in life, having that thought process. So I just want to acknowledge that and let you know that I feel your pain and can understand
Right.
how that must have been difficult from childhood. Did anything shift as you got older? Tell me about that from junior high or
Yeah.
middle school, they call it, and high school.
Everyone always complimented my smile. So I learned how to smile, and everyone thought, "Oh, it's okay." Nobody knew I was suicidal. Nobody knew how much I hated myself. I didn't express that. In the Asian culture, you don't express yourself. You're silent. You just look pretty. A lot of cultures, it's the same, they can relate to that as well. Especially in like the Asian culture, it's like you don't talk about your feelings. You don't express yourself. You have to be poised. To be successful, you need to be in the medical industry. So I always smiled and I danced a lot. I danced whenever I could, and that was my release. That was something I enjoyed and loved, and I at least had that. I did dance classes like probably between 4th to 6th grade, and then I had to get out. There was some trauma that happened between that time. I just found other ways and avenues to dance, turn on the music and dance. And then I joined like show choir and dance clubs and stuff when I was in school. And that I think really helped me a great deal because it took my mind off of myself. Now it's like, was it even mine in the beginning? My inner child says, thank you for the love. And I've done a lot of healing from then. And all those voices were just in my head. And it was me who had to change it.
A couple of specific actions that you took was you smiled a lot. And when we
Yeah.
smile, I don't know about you, but when I smile, I feel like it just changes the atmosphere and it changes my thought process. So that's one thing that you did. The other thing was dance, which is great because you got movement and you got the adrenaline going. So that, wow,
Mhm.
smart for that age that you knew what you needed to do.
I did it because it made me happy. That was one thing nobody could take away from me. We were in an accident and I had to wear a neck brace and I didn't know if I could dance again. After my body healed, it was like, "Oh, I'm dancing and I'm never stopping." And that's always been my passion, my something for me, and that was my way of expression. And so that was something that I always held close and always did when even nobody was watching was dance. So I think that's important, is finding something you love or going exploring and learning about yourself. I think that's something about me too is I'm always trying new things and doing stuff outside of the norm. Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. And I especially love that you listen to your inner self, right? Of what you needed. Because
Mhm.
understanding that whole thing of the dancing, the smiling, the doing new things and things that you like to do, usually a
Mhm.
lot of people don't get to that point until decades later.
Right.
So I just want to commend you for not just hearing it, but acting on it to be able to connect with yourself and deal. It sounds like you did these things and that helped you face a lot of the internal battles or even the outside
Mhm.
battles. Name one thing that you did that other than dance, because sometimes you're
Mhm.
not going to be able to dance all the time. So
Right.
name me one thing that you did that really carried you over because to be on the battlefield minute by minute is exhausting. So what one thing did you do that really just helped you to cope?
I've always been into like self-improvement and positive stuff. And so I just started feeding myself positive affirmations or reading books of people who's been through struggles and their story in the back of my head is I can too. I can too. I've always been determined not to let my challenges or what I felt get the best of me. I go, I will, I wanted to overcome it. Back then it was like, I don't want to feel this way. How can I get rid of it? So I just try to put myself around positive. What am I feeding myself? And it was a long struggle. I mean, this was not an overnight battle. Two failed marriages. So my ego was shot. Like I was like, my self-worth was just didn't have any, but was so desperate for someone to love me, to tell me I am valuable. And from that, from searching and digging and reading was something that I did, and there was an exercise of making a list of things that I've overcame was something to see what I was good at. I didn't even know what I was good at. I just like dance, I didn't even say I was good at. It was just something I enjoyed. Letting me bring awareness to myself, but that didn't happen until really after my second marriage. It's been like this, like an up and down roller coaster. Like there were times in my life I was like on this high, nobody can touch me. And then it was like, dang, I really hit a low. And my big low was after my second divorce with my three kids and trying to find a place. And that really killed me. And that one, it was like I was searching for a way to bring value to myself, and so it really I had to spend a lot of time by my well, with my kids and myself, because I was like, "I am not jumping into another relationship." I keep picking all the bad ones. From there, I learned about self-love, self-care, and finding ways to honor my body, honor who I am, look at the girl in the mirror, and really listen to the words that I was telling myself. 'Cause I was saying, I am ugly, I'm not pretty, I'm not beautiful, I'm not worthy. Nobody nobody likes me. Nobody can ever love someone who looks like me, right? And it's like unintentional things that was from outside. Like my parents didn't mean anything by telling me that I'm because I'm a black woman, I gotta work twice as hard. However, that was like so deep, like a knife in me, like that kind of told me I'm not worthy because I'm black, because I'm dark skinned, I'm melanin. And so it was like I had to change my thinking. So it's been layers of stuff. So I think the biggest thing is being kind to ourselves, but knowing that we need to change the outside words that's coming in and say, I don't need to claim it. This is not mine.
Don't let it define who you are.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow. I am truly amazed because you are so young and you have such wisdom of what you need to do and not do. And I get the second divorce. I've had two divorces as well, and it does knock you on your behind, and you lose all
Mhm.
sense of self. And I want to ask you during that time when you were going through the second divorce, how much of your past childhood wounds tagged into the divorce?
Everything. It was, I depended on this man's love, how he treated me to dictate my worth. It made me self sacrifice. It made me tolerate stuff that I did I should have never tolerated. And because of the divorce and he cheated, it made me feel like, gosh, will any man ever value me as who I am? Like what is wrong with me? That was what I was what is wrong with me? And what
Yeah.
was wrong with me was I wasn't listening and seeing the person within. I wasn't honoring her. I wasn't loving on her. I needed to learn to love myself.
Now, let me ask you, Sia, what was that breaking point? What was that? Wait a minute.
I did see a therapist probably 3 months, but by then he's like, I can't help you anymore. You're doing your thing. You understand, but he had to tell me of all the abuse I went through because that just I just had to keep going for my children. And I got so angry. There was this inner rage. And then, like, I got on my knees. I mean, I honored it, but I was still like, oh, I want to hurt him how he hurt me. A couple of days later or something, I was listening, but she was talking about the neurolinguistic stuff. What are we telling ourselves? And there was something about it with the self love. And it's like, do you even love yourself? And I couldn't even answer it. And that was the start of this journey, another journey of healing. Instead of looking for it outside of myself, I had to dig within and find out why couldn't I love the woman I see in the mirror. And that was the start of learning how to take care of myself, learning how to love on myself in little ways every day and each day. Bringing awareness to what I'm telling myself. What stories, what lies am I holding on to and not letting go? Because they're not true. Whatever we believe in is true, right? So it's like, well, if I'm ugly, then I'm ugly, right? But then if I start telling myself, I am beautiful, I am a goddess, I am a queen, and bringing that, like treating myself as such, that will bring the standards, and whoever wants to be with me, or they need to treat me as so, because I treat myself as so it just brings that standard up, like, no, I'm going to treat myself good, so whoever I'm going to attract, he better treat me as so or better. Right? So
Amen. See it. Tell me, because that's a hard place for a lot of women. I know it took
it is.
me decades to get to what you're talking about. And that's why I love to have this platform and talk to other women. What was it that made you just make a commitment to yourself? Because that's what I'm hearing, is that you were tired of
Mm,
being tired. You knew there was something better, and it's like your inner power was starting to rise up, and you listen. A lot of
right.
us women don't do that. So what made you commit to you? And because I know from experience, having to
Mhm.
excavate that pain is no joke.
Yeah,
And that
right.
is very excruciating, but we got to pull it out from the root, because if we
Right.
keep just touching the surface of it and not dealing with it, it's going to grow back, and it's going to come
Right.
back 10 times, right? So what was it for
Mm.
you that made you say, I have to commit to me and learn to love me?
I want to say because I have a little girl and I don't want her to go through what I went through, and she's so confident. But really, I was sick and tired. I had to be honest with myself, was what it is. I always said, no, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be heard. But what woman doesn't? You know, we're taught to, oh, sit there and be quiet and look pretty. We're told we got to put others before ourselves because that's true love. But how do you show love from an empty cup? If you can't love yourself, then who could you really love? And what does that look like? What does love look like? I mean, we were created and life was given to us through love, through breath, to honor our bodies, to honor that we've overcame, and to say, you know what, I'm proud of myself. It's okay to be proud of yourself. It's okay to honor yourself. It's okay to say, I am a queen, I am a goddess, because that is who we are created to be. We were designed that way. And here we have society telling us otherwise. We have generational curses, if you can say, telling us and teaching us, not from a place of hate, but from a place of their own fear and pushing onto us. And we're carrying all these fears. And it's time for us to just say, I'm tired of being afraid. And I think that was the point. I was tired of being afraid of myself. I was tired of being mediocre, and I was tired of settling. And I was just like, I just want to be free. And that's like my biggest reason. I want to be free. I want to live life on the way I want to live. really, we all have choices. I wanted to be free and not have somebody tell me who I have to be. And that was my biggest thing. I didn't want anyone to tell me my worth. Now I can say I know that I am a being of love.
And Sia, I can tell just by your passion that you really have connected with yourself and have built that foundation. And I'm so proud of
Mm,
you because that is a lot of
mm.
work. I just want to
It's a lot
honor.
of work. Thank you. So there was something you said, like how it comes back. It's like a spiral, because it's layers and layers and layers upon layers. But the biggest thing, we have to show ourselves grace. We show it to everyone else. Why don't we show it to ourselves? No, I need my peace. I want my peace. I desire my peace. And what does my peace look like? And I have to have a clear vision on what that is. And if something's not resonating, or I'm like getting that feeling like, no, thank you. I gotta go,
Right.
and it's really honoring that. But first, we got to overcome these different steps and show ourselves grace each time. And when you're doing such work that is transformative, because this is transformative, it is stretching you beyond your comfort zone. And it is scary as hell. It is uncomfortable beyond, because you don't know anything. And to put a little bit of science, the amygdala is telling us, oh no, don't do this. This is new, trying to save us. But we have to be like, no, it's safe. And just breathe through it and just say, you know what? This is good for me. I want to go here. And this is the steps to get there and to do it anyways.
Yes. I had to look at myself in the mirror as well. And then just because I'm at the fork of the road. I could easily stay in the same old mess because I'm comfortable. I know it. I know where the pitfalls are. I know where the good times may be. Or I can take this road and find out who I really am and have that confidence and desire to know me even more. Either path you take is going to be painful, but the path of
Mhm.
the road less traveled, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I began to understand that I am a masterpiece, that God loves me
Mhm.
unconditionally, no matter what I do,
Yeah.
no matter what I've done. And I let go of the guilt, the shame, all that. When you go through 2 divorces, it's no joke. And for me, it did trigger a lot of my childhood wounds. And I had to choose. Am I going to keep going in this mess, or am I
Mhm.
going to choose me this time? I want to hear what you're going to say. But for me, I had to choose me for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
And that joy that I have that is deep within my spirit, nobody can take that away ever. And I feel
Right.
so incredibly unstoppable. So when you connected to your core, Sia, tell me how that felt for you.
Oh, it felt fiery. Because there was an incident where I was just like, this person is disrespecting me. And I realizing, oh, I carry a lot of like discomfort around like my tummy area, like a say my gut, right? Ooh, this is so uncomfortable. And I used to never honor that. And when I did, it was like an up level, like this, whoa, this is powerful. I do have power. My power is my voice. My power is my choices, my freedom of choice. And we don't realize we have that until we start doing the things we truly want to do and stepping towards what it is we truly want and getting out of our comfort zone. Oh, I like this feeling. I'm going to do it again. And then again, and then again. And you start getting into this process, and it just starts getting to a place where it just flows and feels so good. You choose yourself. And a lot of women, and I just need to add this in here because I'm guilty of this too, is like the whole thing with, well, I need a man to value my worth, right? And a true man will value your mind, your thoughts, and who you are as you are. Why settle for any less? If it's something you don't want to do, and I was guilty where I didn't want to share what I really want, a true person will respect your choice. And for me, I had to learn to speak how I felt. Me, I chose someone who will listen to me and hold that space. And I told myself I will never settle for someone who won't hear me, let me talk no matter how uncomfortable it is for me. And ugly it gets because it is uncomfortable when you're not used to talking your truth. But it really starts with loving ourselves, and it's an ongoing learning process and honoring that process and showing yourself grace alongside of it because we are loved immensely and valued and supported. Is just when you don't love yourself, you block the gifts that are all around you.
Well, there's no room. There's no
There's
room for
no
those gifts to come in because we have been taught, let's ruminate on the problem. Let's just talk about it to
Mhm,
80 million girlfriends that we have. And that's the
mhm,
spirit that comes in as well, right? And I
mhm.
think that I love what you were saying. And I want to add, when we have been pained so much, we have a lot of wounds. We are like that onion that we have to
Yeah,
peel back. We have to
yep,
peel it back little by little, and it's a journey, like you said. But when we get to the core of who we are, that's where that fiery stuff comes from, where we have a firm foundation of our worth and our value and
mhm.
our gifts and also our weaknesses. But we
Right,
accept our whole being for the good,
absolutely.
the bad, the ugly, and now the fabulous. I mean, I know that my God has created me to be a masterpiece and I'm unique. There's nobody
Yeah,
else like me. There's nobody else like you, Sia. So
right,
I've come to a place where I don't need to be jealous of another woman because
right.
she has a different walk than I do. She has different gifts than I do. And ladies,
Mhm.
it's hard enough out here to be a woman.
Right.
So let's just honor each other. Now, oh my gosh, Sia, I could
Absolutely.
talk to you forever, and we are at the close. So I want to ask you, what one thing would you say to a woman who's listening that has dealt with the biracial, has dealt with the divorce, is
Mhm.
tired of being tired? What's one thing that you can say to her that will give her some hope?
Date yourself. Learn how to love all versions of yourself, of you. The light, the shadows, the imperfection, because even in imperfection, you find perfect. And remember that you were given life through breath. So to breathe in the love and allow yourself to receive.
Thank you so much. Sia, tell me, where are you now with all this wisdom and knowledge? What are you doing now with all this healing that you've done?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked because I just shifted my business from sacred sovereignty to sacred her. And her stands for highly exalted Reina or rebel. I like Reina too because queen, right? But
Right.
rebel because we have to be rebels and go against the norm, against what society tells us or whatever lies people want to tell us to keep us low. And I am creating a program in the summer called Sacred Rituals, various rituals that we can do to honor the divine within us. Because, God is all around us, love is all around us, but we close ourselves to it because of anger, fear, whatnot.
Sia, how can people find out more about your program? How can they contact you?
They can contact me through my website, www.jennifernatasia.com. Find me on IG, or you can find me at Sacred Her, and that's on IG. I would love to connect and share energy, and if called and desired, pray because there's so much power in prayer.
Thank you again, Sia, for being vulnerable, for sharing a part of your story, and for giving women hope. I really appreciate you.
Mm, thank you. It's an honor. Thank you, Rosita, for having me.
Now, before we close, I want to invite you all to go to my website, movingforwardforlife.com, schedule your complimentary clarity call, and take time for you. this 30 minutes is all about you. It's all for you. It's a safe space for you to speak your piece with no judgment. Where can we get that, ladies? I want you to remember that you are not alone. You have the power to choose the trajectory of your life. Grab a hold to that choice and take that step to the new 2.0 of who you are.
I
Thank
love
you
it.
so much. See y'all next time.
Yes.